Before I get into the video, I just want to say please look in that comment section or that description and click on that Discord link and join the Discord. We be chilling, talking about anime, manga, mostly One Piece, but there's a channel basically for everything, so definitely come chill. But hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video. And in today's video we're going to be talking about the chapter a little bit more in depth. But before I go any further, please hit that subscribe button, like the video, and turn on post notifications. It will only take a few seconds and makes a massive difference. Not thinking much in the cover story, just Goldie Roger running away from a lion and Shanks and them kind of hiding in a tree. But the chapter actually starts with Nekomamushi and Perospero is actually knocked out, it seems, and Carrot and Wanda go to hug Nekomamushi. And I want to kind of talk about Perospero because a lot of people have been getting kind of things misconstrued or whatever, but I want to give my opinion on it. If Nekomamushi's partner was given a Yonko commander, it does make sense to me that Nekomamushi himself would actually be given someone to fight that was on that same level, or at least close. Now I will say Jack did take a lot more damage than Perospero did, so that might even out things a bit. So I guess Perospero actually having faith that he would take over the Big Mom Pirates if Big Mom got taken down. It might have not been some cap, you know what I'm saying? Obviously he's not stronger than the 3 commanders of Big Mom's crew. But the point is that he's actually strong. And this is actually pretty crazy because Yamato is actually saying that Oden wrote about the clash versus Roger and Whitebeard in his journal and is basically connecting it to right now when they both split the sky. A lot of people were saying that, the sky split wasn't as big as Whitebeard and Rogers or Big Mom and Kaido's, but I don't think that's fair to say. Even though I actually don't have Luffy on the direct level of the Yonkos right now, it's not fair to say that his clash was less than, the other one just because of, some art or something like that. It doesn't really make sense to me. It's very clear that he is approaching that level. No matter how you want to cut it or slice it, he is approaching that level. And by the end of this fight, he will be on that level. And I love this choice by Oda because it kind of shows where Kaido is as a villain and just what kind of state he's in. Throughout the Oden flashback, we have seen that he is actually, kind of noble in some way, killing the old hag that intervened with this fight and trying not to intervene with fights or sneak attack people. But it seems like now that he has abandoned that, or maybe I am just, misinterpreting this moment. But even if he isn't, I do think this does show that he is kind of in a state of, I don't want to say panic, but he knows that if he doesn't turn up all the way, actually fight, these people as equals, that he will lose. So I think this is the state of mind he is in right now. And I think this kind of explains everything that he's doing right now. And in this chapter, it's kind of confirming that Luffy says he wants to fight him by himself. He is obviously going to prove in this fight that he is on that level. I think this is what Oda is trying to do, like I said before. Yamato obviously explaining to Momonosuke how dragons actually quote-unquote fly, because this was explained, I think, back last year or 2 years, that Kaido was actually, gliding or like running from cloud to cloud. He actually wasn't flying. So this is kind of just Oda putting it in the actual source material instead of, a secondary source, even though they are obviously both canon. And we see Momonosuke actually succeeding in this, which I think just goes to show that he is actually leveling up and growing as his arc goes on. And I love to see Oda giving that growth to Momonosuke because we see in the flashback that he is actually, yoked up by Kaido over a cliff, or I think it was like a building or something like that. And it seemed that in present day, this is where he actually got his fear of heights from. So it's cool to see him in real time actually growing out of that fear of heights and listening to Yamato. It just goes to show that Momonosuke is not only, growing in the way of, hey, I can, do this grand feat or something like that, but he's actually learning to listen to people and he is taking commands beautifully. And I think I have been mistaken in past chapters because I thought, Kaido was kind of fresh. Obviously, he took some damage, but I think the damage that he has been dealt is greater than what I initially thought. I think he obviously took a lot of damage that we don't know about from Yamato that was off screen. They fought for I think like 30 minutes or something like that, because it seems that Yamato says that Onigashima is actually, kind of falling and collapsing. It seems that this is kind of going to be the final push versus Kaido. This is kind of going to be the deciding fight, and it's very good to see Kaido actually taking this seriously, because he actually knows that this is a chance that he could take his, what I think, 8th defeat that we know of that is canon in the story. So my boy really better watch out, I ain't gonna lie. And this is kind of confirming just the unimaginable gap between Momonosuke and Kaido, where he's like, I can't do something like this, and he's referring to, the flame clouds or whatever, and he can't even do that while fully focusing. Just imagine how strong Kaido is while he is doing that while actually fighting, and he is actively fighting multiple people. That is absolutely insane. Momonosuke does kind of, mention how he's not the same strength as Kaido. That's a given, but I do think he was more so talking about the actual specific technique, the flame clouds. Oda kind of giving Yamato some character interactions with Momonosuke that isn't just her acting weird towards Momonosuke. I actually like this. This is kind of a breath of fresh air for me, because when we first met Yamato, I wasn't a huge fan, I ain't gonna lie. Her talking about, you can't defeat Kaido without Luffy. Right now, you cannot give him more things to worry about, which that is true. He has to do his side of the job just like everybody else. He's the only one that can lift Onigashima up, besides obviously Kaido. So he is kind of our only hope of the Flower Capital actually being, saved. And now we cut to probably my favorite part of the chapter, just because we're actually getting to see a Zoro fight 1-on-1 post time skip that is probably going to be like one of the pre-time skip fights. An actual difficult fight that's going to result in, a character moment or just some grand ending, like a lot of his fights pre-time skip did. Now we see that King is transformed into his hybrid, presumably. I'm just going to say it's his hybrid because it doesn't actually say it is or isn't, but it doesn't have to be said. It's clearly his hybrid form. Hybrid form is usually like a mix of the two ends of their forms, their base form and their full Zoan form. So this seems to be his hybrid form, so I'm just going to call it that from now on, unless it gets confirmed later that is actually something different. So King is actually overpowering Zoro right now, and I want to talk about this a little later, because people do seem to be overreacting on both sides, by the way. It's not just, people downplaying Zoro or people on Zoro's side. So I want to kind of give you my thoughts on that in a minute. But Zoro obviously giving King props, because he is obviously strong. And we get some more Queen and King interaction. King just going full rampant mode, bro. He is just like, he's a savage out here. He's just attacking anybody. He's attacking Zoro. He's attacking allies. He almost attacked Queen. He's like, dang, King, stop with your indiscriminate attacks. You almost cut my ass. And King's like, too bad I didn't cut your neck. This is actually an important detail that I do think that people missed over, and I think is going to be the kind of obstacle, besides obviously King just being naturally strong, that Zoro is going to have to overcome. And the subordinates say, Pirate Hunter Zoro, he has managed to damage King's mask. No surprise he's angry, since no one has ever seen how King is like under his mask. And King is on the offensive, it seems. He is actually just blowing Zoro back. Pause on that. That was crazy. But he's basically being on the offensive, attacking first. And Zoro actually, stops this whatever. I think it's like a wing or something like that. Wing attack or something. And actually manages to hit King's head. The attack is obviously very powerful, and Zoro is thrown away once again. And Zoro seems to fly out of the castle after King attacks him again. He just does not stop. He just keep going. He does not care. He is in full attack mode. And I think this may be the downfall of him if he does not chill out, because Zoro can do a lot of damage if you just let him get a free hit off. It only takes that one huge attack from Zoro to actually beat his opponents. And we actually see a close up of King's face, and he looks to be a little tanned a little bit. He kind of seems to be like Daz Bones complexion. And I don't know if this is just, shading or something like that, or just hit the scuff marks. But it does kind of look like he has a little teeny tiny bit of tattoos on him. You can't really see much. I don't know if that's Oda just playing with this because I don't have the physicals. I'm obviously reading it online. Things can get kind of fuzzy a little bit online, so that's the thing. I am just waiting for some physicals to drop so I can actually, confirm. By the time the physicals drop, I ain't gonna lie, it's gonna already be confirmed what freaking King's race is or whatever. It's already gonna be fleshed out, so that doesn't matter. But I want to talk about the Zoro and King stuff because people seem to be overreacting on both sides. There is the side that says, "Oh man, what the heck? He can block this attack from the Yonkos for a couple of seconds, but he's getting blown back from a Yonko commander." Well, a lot of people that I don't know how they have been reading the story for this long and still don't notice the pattern of Zoro's fights, but literally almost all of his fights that are actually difficult fights, I would say, start off like this. Daz Bones, Kaku, basically any fight pre-time skip, he is almost always on a similar level or stronger in some cases than the opponent, but he has something to overcome, an obstacle that he is faced with that the opponent has, that by the end of the fight it will show that he is actually overcome that obstacle in the fight, and along with him obviously being on a certain level will obviously grow from the fight. With Kaku, he struggled a lot in the beginning, but he was not damaged that much by the end of the fight and ended the fight with one hit, which was his strongest hit because obviously as Zoan are naturally bulky. Daz Bones, Zoro himself said that the wounds weren't even that deep. He wasn't even doing a crazy amount of damage to where he couldn't move, that it was mostly the pain that was stopping him from actually moving, and a couple chapters later he was literally up again, and in that fight he was faced with some type of obstacle, which was he couldn't damage him, which resulted in him getting the breath of all things, and you seen what happened when he actually got the breath of all things. He beat him in one hit. Both of these fights, when looking at it in hindsight, you can't really say that Zoro was levels below his opponent. With Kaku, you can actually argue that he was above his level at his full strength. Then you go to Pika, he's obviously way above Pika in level. You've seen that when they actually clashed, when they actually made contact with each other and they were face to face. But he had an obstacle to overcome, which was, his devil fruit, the stone fruit. He couldn't find his body, so he just kept slashing and slashing until he found it. And when he actually got a fair hit on Pika, he beat him relatively easy. Then you cut the King, and obviously it's going to be way harder than Kaku or Pika was ever going to be. That wasn't my point, but I think it mentioning that his armor is so tough is going to be the thing that he has to overcome. Obviously King is a very strong opponent, but the way the subordinates treated King's armor is kind of similar to how people have been treating Kaido's scales. And in no way am I saying that they are comparable. Kaido was obviously way harder to damage or to actually scar or whatever or cut, but it seems that his armor is very durable. They even said that no one has ever seen him with it off. I'm assuming this is the first time it is, broken, or at least in a long while. And I think that is going to be something that he has to overcome. He looks to be human under the armor from what we've seen. So that means he has, regular, flesh or whatever. So the thing that I think Zoro is going to overcome is actually the armor. And this is why I say to stop overreacting, because this is a entirely different scenario than the rooftop. Yeah, he blocked probably the strongest attack we're ever going to see in the story for however long it was, them seconds. Well, that is just entirely different from a full fight with a Yonko commander. Now, before everybody goes back to my last videos and pulls up me saying that I think it's going to be a pretty easy fight, I haven't changed my mind. I think by the end of this, just like his other fights, I think Oda is going to show that it's going to be apparent that Zoro was very close or even a little above King. This armor, or in any case an obstacle that King has, which another thing I forgot to mention is him being very bloodlusted. This is obviously not how he always fights people. You've seen in the beginning of the fight when he wasn't actually bloodlusted, he wasn't actually just trying to attack. That Zoro was very easily keeping up with him. He blocked his attack with the sword in his mouth, and I even said in my CA collab, my hottest takes video, that I'm starting to view One Piece as a whole in terms of power scaling differently. The Scabbards were able to fight Kaido, and even Luffy was able to fight Kaido for 30 plus minutes, but were not on his level at all. They even showed that the Scabbards got bodied, Luffy got thrown off the roof and bodied. So people overreacting and saying, certain things that a couple attacks or overwhelming someone for a couple of seconds or, multiple instances doesn't look bad on the character, or it's not inconsistent of what he's shown on the roof, at least in my opinion. But I really did go on a kind of a rant, and that's my fault. But I hope that everyone is having a great day. I'm sorry for the lack of uploads, for the past couple weeks. I have been on and off sick, but it's nothing serious, it's just, some cold or whatever. My voice has been kind of acting weird recently, so I didn't want to make subpar content in terms of just the audio quality in my voice. It just broke a little bit there too. But yeah, I have a couple really cool and different, that's the most important part, different videos, in my opinion at least, that I haven't seen, that I am going to be making soon. So please, if you could, press that like button, subscribe, and turn on post notifications, and just any other thoughts that you want to discuss in the comments. I love talking about One Piece and just having regular discussions in my comments, and most importantly in the Discord, which you can also join. And until next time, peace.